Welcome back to Royal Productions. But if this is your first time, my name is Lou, and basically what we do here is cover crypto news, blockchain, and anything to do with the financial structure. Also, always do your own research. Articles will be linked down below. And without any further ado, let's get right into these articles I have for you guys today. But first, let's take a look at these markets. Total crypto market sitting at 2.06 trillion. Bitcoin sitting at 62,000. It looks like we broke that heavy level and that psychological level of 60,000. Ethereum sitting at 17. Remember, when Bitcoin moves, the rest of the market moves. Everything's mostly green, as you guys can see here. Solana's having a big push at $81. XRP is having a little bit of a push at $1.10. So pay attention to what's happening. I think this is a fake out, but we'll see. Hopefully things move and continue to move in this direction. All right, first article I have for you guys today is U.S. payroll growth slowed sharply in June with only 57,000 jobs added. And we're going to go through this. I think this is going to be a major catalyst for the future, but we'll see. You know what I mean? Always do your own research, like I just said. But the projected was 110,000, but we'll get to that in a second. Next article I have for you guys is JPMorgan says Strategy's Bitcoin sales policy adds two-way risk to crypto market. And this is very true. If they implode or explode, whatever, then the rest of the market's going to be at risk, okay? Next article I have for you guys is MetaPlanet buys another 170 million of Bitcoin, expanding treasury to 43,000 Bitcoin. So we just covered some news about Japan. They're making huge moves, and also on top of that, a lot of these big banks are buying reserves like gold, and we have to pay attention to that and the reason why that is. All right, 3 years after MiCA became law, Europeans' crypto framework is undergoing a rethink. So they are reshaping how they do things, and it's being called MiCA 2.0. July 1st, today, was the day that a lot of those companies who weren't MiCA compliant had to stop or slow down their operations. If you guys don't know about that, go earlier in the week, check out those videos, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. All right, moving on. And the last thing I have for you guys today, well, second before last thing I have for you guys today is a UK market blueprint outlines tokenized payments for multi-money ecosystem. Last thing I have for you guys, a struggling Nasdaq listed company that tried to copy MicroStrategy's playbook is completely dumping crypto for AI. And we've seen a lot of this happen with these big industry players where they're moving away from these investments that are speculative right now, because we're still working on framework and moving into something that is more concrete like AI. But stick around, all that coming up next. All right, let's get into this first article out for you guys. U.S. payroll growth slowed sharply in June with only 57,000 jobs added. So remember, these are signals. Your mind is your crown. Either take this information and use it appropriately or throw it away if it doesn't pertain to your life. But basically, the U.S. is struggling right now with job growth. The expectation, U.S. job growth slowed sharply in June with 57,000 jobs added versus the expectation for 110,000 and well below May's revised 129,000 gain. So in May, they thought it was going to be 129,000 gain. And then last month, after getting May's data, they thought it was going to be 110,000, but it didn't even touch close to that. The unemployment rate edged down to 4.2, slightly better than the forecast, and May's 4.3 reading. Weaker labor data could cool expectation for aggressive Federal Reserve rate hikes in 2006. So pay attention to the federal, government and what they're doing. U.S. job growth disappointed last month, with data likely to set back the market expectation for Federal Reserve rate hikes as soon as this summer or early fall. We just read that. But again, I have to repeat this because a lot of people think we're green right now and it looks good, but we do not know what's truly happening behind closed doors. All right, moving on. Okay, JPMorgan says Strategy's Bitcoin sales policy added a two-way risk to the crypto market. The bank said Strategy's Bitcoin sell policy adds avoidable market uncertainty and should be replaced with equity insurance to build cash reserves. This is crazy to me when you have JPMorgan. Like, if you don't take JPMorgan's advice, then I don't think you know what you're doing. But, Michael Saylor has his own strategy, we would say. But at the end of the day, we have to listen to some of these big players. They're not big in crypto yet. They've even said themselves that they could have created something like the blockchain and cryptography, but they didn't. They sat on their money and continued to live in the old age. But Wall Street Bank JPMorgan said Strategy's decision to allow selective Bitcoin sales to fund preferred stock dividends had introduced avoidable two-way risk into the crypto market, increasing uncertainty and volatility. So not only would it affect the crypto market, but it also would affect the stock market. And also, I think it's multiple, like two ways. Yes, two-way risk. Maybe their strategy is, but when we talk about the risk of the broader market, I think there's so many risks that this company, especially when you have different, I think they have like 4 different like things you can purchase from them, like their strategies, you know, their ETF. It's just wild to me. But my point is, I think they're going to implode and they're going to bring this whole market down sooner or later. It's just being able to see the signals when it's going to happen. All right, on to some better news. Metaplanet buys another 170 million of Bitcoin, expanding treasury to 43,000 Bitcoin. See, if you look at this company, they're doing a lot better. If you look at what they're doing, you know, I mean, they have accumulated this much and they're not worried about it. But the Japanese firm now the world's 3rd largest publicly traded Bitcoin holder, reported a strong Bitcoin income generation revenue. And I think this has to do with gold a lot. A lot of people aren't going to understand what's been happening over these last few years, but these countries and big banks have been accumulating gold privately. If you guys do your research and go find out where this gold is going, there's a lot happening. Even I think it was China, they shut down their paper trading for gold, because you have to understand what the real asset is worth. But when you have an asset that continues to be traded by fake paper, then that asset actually loses its value. Because say you have 1, but you have 10 paper of that. You get what I mean? You're trading the 10 paper when there's only really 1. So we have to understand what's happening with this market. There's a lot of BS, I think. So when we hear terms like drain the swamp, yes, Trump says that. I don't care who says it. You know, you can be mad at the messenger, but the idea is there is a lot of things in our market right now that's just been going on for so long that it's one of them things where it's like we don't know the true values of things because we haven't been moving on a level playing field. We haven't been, like with blockchain and cryptocurrency, we won't really have as many problems as we have now in our financial system. Why? Because everything and most things are transparent. You can't be like, okay, well, I have 10,000 gold. I say I have 10,000 gold, but in my bank reserves, it says I have 8,000. So while we're trading 10,000, I only have 8,000. If everybody came, it would be like you going to the bank and trying to get all your money. You can't do that. We don't have enough money in the world for everyone to just go to the bank and take their money out. It would destroy the system. But anyways, moving on. 3 years after MiCA became law, Europe's crypto framework is undergoing a rethink. So like I said, on July 1st is when things got bad for Europe, because a lot of these places who were MiCA compliant, if they didn't have the right things, because it changed, and July 1st was the let me see if it's down here. I don't think it's down here. I didn't see it. But basically, it's been 6 years since the European market in crypto assets MiCA was first mooted, and 3 years since it was enacted. A lot has changed in the meantime, not the least the growing interest for business and individuals in stablecoins and international payments. So they're moving forward, and as you can read here, these signals, there's growing interest from businesses and individuals in stablecoins and international payments. So the country understands what their people want, and they have to build this framework in order to help things, you know, move in the right direction. It also mentions the Genius Act and the US, and like these countries follow each other in a way, because remember, they have to be able to interact with each other. So their policies are going to be similar to ours, but not exactly the same. The same thing with China and North Korea, and based off what their jurisdiction is. And remember, the other day, I believe it was Tuesday, we covered it. PwC dropped a PDF. So you guys go head over there and check out that video, read the PDF, and understand what's really happening. All right, moving on. UK Baked Payments Blueprint outlines tokenized payments for multi-money ecosystem. So I'm not gonna cover this too much. I'm gonna try to explain it. So here's a graph here. Remember, do your own research, go and read about it. But basically, the UK regulators are calling for a tokenization and new forms of digital money to be part of the core infrastructure of the country's future retail payment ecosystem. So again, another signal. Pay attention to the words because they're very important. Future retail payment ecosystem. What is retail? What is payment? What is ecosystem? Break it all down. All right, that's what we're here to do. Retail means your Ross, your Walmart, your liquor store, anywhere you go and transact with your card. That's retail. Okay. Payment ecosystem. So I'm gonna try to explain this the best I can. So you have the automated market maker. Okay. This is a pool of liquidity. You have people who say you have 1,000 XRP. You put this 1,000 XRP in this AMM market and you pair it to a certain coin. So say you get something like let me see up here. So you'll have, I'm gonna use US as a example since it's here, and I'm not gonna make it complicated. I wasn't gonna go here use a pound, but it's already here. So basically you have a pool of money that's in this. Say someone comes in from out of country and they have a token like from the Philippines into the US, and they only have a token on their account, their wallet, their phone, whatever they have, and they only have that currency. So basically what would happen is this person would put it into a pool where two assets are paired, and say they use it at a store. Well, the store and the automated market maker would find the best swap through all of the people who are on this. So you would have all these countries and all these exchanges interacting with these pairs. Why? Because they're able to communicate with each other. So it happens in an instance that this person pays with their currency in America. It goes into another asset, XRP. Remember, it doesn't have to be XRP. There's tons of assets out there. Okay, it goes into this asset, it exchanges one for one the best rate it can. You'll probably pay a couple of cents because of the slippage rate, but it happens instantly. The person buying the product gets their product, and the vendor who is accumulating that money could either transfer it back into the original asset or even set it up to be like, okay, I want to put 10% into XRP, 10% into Bitcoin, and the rest in cash, where it's like now as you get paid you can reinvest at the same time, where it's like you're setting up a system where it's automated. So when you get your money from your business, you can now put it in these pools. You can then actually take your money from what you gain from your business and put it into a pool and gain yield. And that's what this whole Genius Act thing has been about. It's about the rewards, it's about the pools. And basically you guys can read through this. I'll link it down below. This is one example of how the infrastructure is going to work together. That's why they need the interoperability. So when they're talking about bringing in, new infrastructure of retail payments, and it's going to be with tokenizations, digital money. So remember, you can even use some collateral from a house. You know what I mean? Like say you have a house that's yours, you can even put that liquidity on leverage and use it as a swapping pair. Now, when you take it off, it stops becoming a swapping pair, and then yada yada. But there's a lot of details, and it's just crazy once you start like doing the research and understanding how this could actually work in a new system. Like we have emails, we have things moving at the speed of light. You can get your DoorDash. All this is just pushing in the direction of this new infrastructure, and these countries are working on it. So we have to pay attention to that. Okay. Hopefully you guys understood it a little bit. If you don't, drop a comment down below, get a hold of me, let me know, or do your own research. Anyways, moving on. A struggling Nasdaq listed company that tried to copy Sailor Bitcoin's playbook and is completely dumping crypto for AI. The Nasdaq listed Korean media company once lined up a 1 billion finance to buy 10,000 Bitcoin. A recent filing confirms its balance is now zero as it pivots to AI infrastructure and fights to stay listed. So if they try to copy MicroStrategy's, the only reason why MicroStrategy I think is still around is because they got in early. That's the only reason why I think they're around. Okay, now this proves that you try, like, it's one of the things where if you can't beat them, join them. But when you have something built like MicroStrategy's strategy, you would say it's not going to work. I don't think long term it works. And you know, this company I think was very, very smart into moving into AI. It's just, it makes more sense. So the details about it are right here if you want to know more about it. Yeah, you can, but I'll read this. It also confirms that at the end of the company's Bitcoin experiment, K-Wave liquidated 88 Bitcoin on April 29 to repay 6 million of debt. The filing shows and sold its remaining holdings on May 6th, taking its balance to zero. Those 88 coins were the symbolic purchase it made in July 2025 to start a treasury. It said it would grow to 10,000, a target it never came close to reaching. But yeah, do your own research, understand that a lot's happening with these markets, and this green, remember, keep your emotions out of it. If it goes up, it goes up. If it comes down, it comes down. Always have a plan. My name is Louis. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content. Hype, like, and share. I'm out.